Hello, I'm AppyX Toycat, and do you think we'll get new biomes in 1.19 that we haven't heard of? And interestingly enough, I think we just might. The reason why is because Henrik Nieberg, who did a lot of the new terrain generation for 1.18, which of course introduced a whole ton of new biomes, has actually been prototyping some stuff that he thinks some people will enjoy. And this is a very open-ended tweet that is super hinting at something without really saying anything by itself, but then King B Dogs jumps aboard and says, I can confirm people are going to enjoy this a lot. So there is a new feature that Henrik Nieberg and King B Dogs know about that they're hoping the Minecraft player base will enjoy a lot. And my little theory is obviously you could combine the two things together. You could say that King B Dogs has been tweeting out all of these images of Skulk, and you could say, well, you combine that with Henrik Nieberg's terrain generation skills, and you get some new biomes based on the Skulk, maybe like a precursor to the Deep Dark biome. But here's what we do know about 1.19. We do know there is going to be a mangrove swamp biome. We do know there is going to be the Deep Dark biome, and so would it be too much of an addition to add a extra biome to either the overworld or to the caves? I think the caves is more likely because a fair few people have echoed my thoughts that, yeah, having just 2 underground biomes feels a bit dead. Having a third might help a bit, but to really add to 1.19, having a second underground biome would really take things up another level. So that is my personal speculation that we're going to be seeing something around the Deep Dark. It might just be more Deep Dark sub-biomes, but something to make those particular caves more interesting. And maybe if we're really lucky, we'll see some overground biomes, or maybe even just entirely different underground biomes too. We don't know for sure until it happens, but that is incredibly exciting. By the way, speaking of things that are exciting, I wanted to share this just because to really let you know how much we're into teaser season now. Here is another Minecraft developer that tweeted out this week something that looks very normal, average trapdoor picture, showing off 5 separate trapdoors. If you, however, look through the oak trapdoor in the middle, you can see that, interestingly enough, there are actually other trapdoors back there. There's the dark oak one, which is of course missing. Then there is the nether ones, which are missing. And then just to the right of that, you can see 1 pixel of what is likely to be the brand new mangrove trapdoor, which means they're working on the brand new things right there. Obviously, this is, again, it's hilarious to me. This is literally 1 Minecraft pixel worth of content, but I love that we're starting to see these small teasers, and that really lets us know that we're in update hype season, despite it just being early February. And so, yeah, hopefully in the next week with the first Minecraft Now show since December happening, we might be seeing some more, but look forward to seeing some more news over the coming weeks about 1.19, and indeed some snapshots as we've already been seeing betas. Speaking of betas, let's move into the second question, because Chewy99 asks, why do you put those little jokes at the end of your videos? I love them! Great little Easter eggs for people that actually finish the video, and I only included this question so I could say, make sure you stick around to the end of the video to see what's happening with the jokes there. And to actually answer, the reason I do that is because YouTubers, when they had this phase of having outros all these years ago, that just show other videos, it was kind of boring to watch, so I wanted something there to make it like a little bit more entertaining, and also, again, just a little bit of a bonus for people who watch the video. This was long before YouTubers cared about watch time. Now it's literally the one metric you have to care about. In fact, it's so important that I have to move straight into the next question, because Max Plays a Game asks, am I the only one wondering what happened to Adventure Mode? This is of course referring to the brand new menu screens which were trialed in the latest Minecraft Bedrock betas. Again, a reminder, they're showing off 1.19 features already over in the Bedrock world, so if you missed that video, make sure you watch it if you want to hear my full thoughts. However, you can only start a new world in Survival and Creative, and people are wondering, are they removing Adventure Mode for this reason? And no, this is one of those things that I'll admit I've made this mistake before. Adventure Mode is not accessible when you start a new world in Minecraft Bedrock. You have to make a world in Survival or Creative first, and then switch it over to Adventure. Although, honestly, if we're being entirely truthful with ourselves, what percentage of people really use Adventure, especially compared to Survival and Creative? We know the overwhelming majority of Minecraft players have never loaded up a Survival world legit. You can tell that from the achievement. I think they're missing out on a great deal, but how many people are really using Adventure Mode that often? I feel like most maps just have like a fusion between Survival and Adventure when they do want to use something like it. I do wonder if Adventure Mode will last forever, if it's one of those legacy features they'll keep, or if just like the old worlds, it'll eventually go. But that's an entirely different question. To answer your question about the new menus, yeah, you can make an Adventure Mode. You just have to already have had a Survival or Creative map. Speaking of things you already had to have, I got a few questions asking why I say not instead of 0 at the start of, say, 0.16. And then I also got this slightly less present one being, stop saying not, just be normal and say 0, Lamau. This is one of those things where being on the internet, you learn a lot more about how you speak. Again, there's lots of people who are looking at what you say and maybe are being polite or less polite about it. And I never even realized that, yeah, saying naught is a British thing. I looked up naught versus 0, and apparently in British English, naught is more commonly used than the word naught in America, and naught is used as an archaic word for nothing. And so, yeah, like, obviously, before there was 1.0, there was nothing. 0.16 is how my brain is kind of interpreting that. The other weird one is I obviously say O instead of 0 in phone numbers, so it's like 07 118 999 02. You get the point here that, like, whenever I say an O, a 0, I say an O instead, and it's one of those weird, I guess, things that you pick up without realizing it, just like how in America the word nout is sometimes used instead of naught to mean nothing. And you know what? There's so many weird regional ways of saying things. And one of the things I try to do on the internet is try to do the most international version. And so I'm actually going to try and train myself not to say naught or to say O. I'm just going to say 0 when there is a 0, which is surprisingly hard to do. Also, I have to mention this just because it's one of those weird differences. I am currently in the US of A. And one of the weird things is that we'll say nil to refer to, like, scores. So if it's like, oh yeah, one team has 3, the other has 0, it would be 3-0 instead of 3-0, because nil also means 0. You know, there's so many ways to say 0 in British English, and I don't know why we have that. Speaking of things I don't know why we have, this next question comes in from your boy, Ero Hasabanez, who says, what is your opinion on things like visible enchantments, i.e. ice on Frostwalker boots, or souls from Soul Speed, or flames on a fire aspect sword? I've always thought the enchantment glow is cool, don't get me wrong, I think enchanted armor looks great. However, I've always thought it would look so much cooler if you could have different enchantment glows for different enchantments. That way, not only would there be more customization to armor, besides just purple glowing blue, or purple glowing purple even, but also we'd be able to see visually by looking at someone in PvP whether they have, say, a flame sword or a knockback sword. Those are important things to know. Whether they have protection on their armor or whether it's just unbreaking. It would be really cool to see, like different glows add different colors for different enchantments. But what I also think, and the reason I think that that'd be so important is because that is a piece of signaling we're kind of missing in Minecraft. Think about potions, for example. When you drink a potion, there are bubbles that come out from you, the player. For some reason, you have this, like, glowing effect almost, that show other people which potion you've drunk. Most people don't know this, but you can never truly go invisible in Minecraft, because when you drink an invisibility potion, the invisibility bubbles go in front of you. It looks like this. It's actually pretty enjoyable. And again, like, that's a real downside. It sucks. But wouldn't it be cool if there was some telegraphing of information like that for enchantments on armors? Most people wouldn't care. Most people would just see it as, ooh, when I put the flame on my sword, it goes red, and I like red swords. But that is enough for reasons to do it, in my opinion, or maybe I'm just wrong. Speaking of things I may be wrong about, Jack Cuff says, has the removal of dislikes improved your mental health? Obviously being funny because YouTube removed dislikes recently to remove creator health, ignoring the fact that no creator asked for this, and every creator, in fact, that spoke to YouTube said, yeah, we really want dislikes because it's got some really important benefits. And so you might be thinking, like, well, they removed it anyway for your mental health. How is that doing? We'll ignore the general mental health state and just instead say, here is a picture of my YouTube analytics. I can still see dislikes. I can see more people dislike last week's Q&A Saturday. Something about the microphone, I think. Or maybe it's the Q&A nature, because it's slightly more clickbaity than normal. More people disliked the Let's Play, maybe because it was an hour long of just me talking. I can still see these things, and I can still feel just as mentally unhealthy about myself. It's just now the public can't see them too. So really they're helping out your public health, maybe? I don't know why YouTube has to lie to us and say it's for creators' mental health. Why can't they say it's any number of other things? Because there are so many problems YouTube has regarding mental health. You've heard about people just nebulously complain about the algorithm, but my biggest concern is YouTube is one of the few places where you can do a day of work, where you can make a video, and if that video does worse than your last, it's actively harmed your channel. You would have been better off doing nothing that day, and it's horrifying thinking to myself, like, have I done a good day of work today? It doesn't matter if people enjoy it. It matters if some unknowing algorithm enjoys it enough to send my future videos out to people, and it's scary, so I try not to think about it, and I'm lucky that I can not think about it, and I'm doing a good job, but not everyone is like that. And so creator mental health, maybe if YouTube cared about it, they would give us, the creators, more tools regarding how our videos are shared with the people that subscribe to us. But I'm going crazy at this point. Speaking of things I'm going crazy about, I crossed over from Canada into the United States of America earlier this week, as I might have mentioned earlier in this Q&A, and David Fries asked, was it worth the $6 admission fee? Here is something wacky you might need to know if you are a non-American, non-Canadian, non-Mexican, and looking to enter the United States. When you enter the US, you have to pay, I think it's like a $14 fee every 5 years, and you have to confirm that you haven't committed a genocide before, which is very funny. It's very enjoyable, great process, love paperwork, love to do it every 5 years. But the other weird thing, I think it might be every 2 years actually, but I paid my $14. I also paid $100 and something, so they did a big so they could do a background check on me, and using that background check, they can confirm I'm a low-risk traveler and can come into the country. Whatever, I paid my money, I'm great, and then I drive up to the border. This is my first time driving a car. I'm super nervous, like, I'm driving it physically across the border. It's scary stuff, and I go there, the guy's real nice, but he's like, we just need you to go over there, and they take me to a secondary inspection site. They check my car all the way in and out for drugs, guns, all the sorts of things you might take from Canada to the United States of America, and then they ask me a ton of questions, and they're like, okay, everything seems to be in order, you just have to pay the $6 admission fee. And I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, you need an I-94, because you're a US Canadian resident crossing the border, you do need to pay the I-94 fee just over there at that desk. And so I went up to the desk, they're like, yep, you need one of these, it'll cost you $6. And today I learned, or I guess a week ago I learned, that to enter America via the land border you have to pay $6, and that's just, it's such an arbitrary fee. Was it, is my $6 even covering the cost of having someone there? Because I was the only person in the facility the entire half an hour. You know what, my point here is it's the weirdest thing that I paid for, but now I have a cool stamp in my passport that shows I entered America from Canada, and that $6 entry fee is valid for another 80-something days, so I'm excited about that. Anyway, I'm sure no one cares about borders as much as me, but I find them fascinating, which is why I cover them on the second channel. Wow, plugging myself here. Speaking of things I'm plugging, Dawnfire02 says, why does no one want a Redstone update? I would love to see new Redstone parts, and they give a bunch of suggestions, but I think that, yeah, a Redstone update it's weird that they didn't do much with copper when they added it to the game, because Redstone is effectively copper from real life. Like, it conducts electricity, it does a lot of cool things, and given that we had copper come to the game without too much for use, I mean, there are lightning rods, and there are spyglasses, and there are copper blocks, and give me a list of all the other exciting things you do with copper. Wouldn't it have been cool to use those for electricity? I think, for example, you could use it to move redstone from point to point, maybe somewhat wirelessly, like shoot it out electrically. Even if it's just over one block, that could be some cool stuff. I would have loved to see some, small redstone updates, sure. I think if we need to give a use to copper, why not give it a redstone use? And speaking of redstone use, David, Cornerhard MC, asks, when are we going to see how far you can make it in a flat survival world? And this is one of those challenges I am actually really excited for. In case you're curious, in the latest beta, they made it so that you can play on a survival flat world without having to load it up in creative first and then switch out to survival. It was a really cool change, in my opinion. It's something I mentioned, and I like to believe that someone from Mojang, maybe even David himself, heard that, and they're like, yeah, it does make sense you'd be able to play survival on a flat world. And so I'm really excited to do it, but because it's currently only in the beta, I'd have to do it on my phone. And so the question here, internet, is should I do, because a lot of people don't like the phone aspect ratio videos, they're slightly wider and so they don't fit onto certain devices as well. Should we record it on my phone while I'm out here in America/Canada? I'm going back in a few days if you're curious. Or should I wait until it comes out fully and do it with, the 1.19 full release, or maybe even 1.8.18.2. I don't know when it's happening or why it's happening. I just know I'm excited to play survival on a flat world, because there's all sorts of weird things you can do if you put your mind to it, and a lot of those are going to be painful, like trying to build a village by getting gold, apple, and then also getting a witch to splash Potion of Weakness a zombie. There's all sorts of weird things that we can do that I think it might be a really fun series. It might even be a fun stream series. Who knows for sure what I want to do with it, but I think that it is something we definitely do need to. Speaking of things we need to do, I hope you all enjoyed this Q&A Sunday. It was recorded from my car in the middle of Portland, Oregon, in case you're curious. And I feel like I've been feeling a little bit of extra stress regarding, like, oh no, People don't like the microphone here. I've gone through so much work to just make this microphone not terrible. I think I might just buy an exact copy of the microphone I have at home so that people don't complain anymore. What do you reckon instead? Like, is it a small group of people, or is it in reality something that is just much, much worse objectively? Because I think a problem on the internet, just like with the naught problem, sorry, the 0.16.0 problem, just like with these problems, I feel like there is a very loud, angry group of people that your brain just instinctively goes towards. When you hear 99 compliments and one insult, you're like, why doesn't this guy like me? And it sucks that our brains are wired this way. I wish I could change that. I wish I could see the 95 comments saying, this is really good, Toycat. Thank you for putting out Q&A, even if it involves going into your car in the middle of a very busy city and looking very strange as people watch you recording a video. But I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, comments down below. Thank you for watching, and for the watch time gods, I'm going to end now. Goodbye.